As you may have noticed in our past fashion fusions, we have a running thread sewn within each idea, a figure from folklore or mythology being one half of the fusion. Today is no exception as we bring forth the Naiad seen in mythology, paired with an aesthetic and philosophy called Japanese Kanso. Wabi Sabi is a Japanese philosophy defined as the beauty of things imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. It reminds us of a fragment by Shunzei's daughter from Women Poets of Japan. They write, "How can I blame the cherry blossoms for rejecting this floating world and drifting away as the wind calls them? The wistful feelings that arise when contemplating the transient nature of things is something to be appreciated. We are able to view the signs of something blooming and decaying. These are regarded as beautiful." There are 7 known principles often used to embrace the aforementioned essence of Wabi Sabi. The concepts of Fukinsei, asymmetry, Koko, austerity, Shizen, naturalness, Yugin, subtle grace, Dasuzokyu, freedom, Seijakyu, tranquility, and Kanso, which is rooted in simplicity, the first portion of our title today. Ultimately, the dual meaning of the word nature, the earth we inhabit, or one's character, is found within these teachings. Rivers, streams, lakes, marshes, fountains, and springs, these vast areas occupied by beautiful women holding jugs of water or foliage, reclining in the fresh flowing waters or standing by them, creating and nurturing life, aiding in healing, and even sometimes having oracle abilities. Bringing us to the second portion of this fusion, the archaic spirits called Naiads. Naiad is from the Greek verb naian, which means to flow. Additionally, among the main water sources, Naiads can also be found dwelling in damp caves on the coast of Odysseus' island of Ithaca, as shown in the following passage. "And at the head of the harbour is a slender-leafed olive, and nearby it a lovely and murky cave sacred to the nymphs called Naiads. Within are craters or amphoras of stone, where bees lay up stores of honey. Inside, too, are massive stone looms, and there the nymphs weave sea-purple cloth, a wonder to see. The water flows unceasingly. The cave has 2 gates, the one from the north, a path for men to descend, while the other, toward the south, is divine. Men do not enter by this one, but it is rather a path for immortals." However, Naiads were not considered to be fully immortal, for they are tied to their water source. If a spring dried up, the Naiad residing over it would lose its strength and go with it, thus showing the impermanence of these ancient beings. Consequently, this Japanese philosophy and the myth of a minor water deity have become one. Reflecting on the waters is a fashion image of harmonious minimalism steeped in aquatic enchantment. For this chapter, we are going to walk you along the runway by paying attention to a few brands and some specific looks within each. The first being Yohji Yamamoto. The Kanso nature of his designs can be found in the simplicity of an unwavering loyalty to the colour black or neutrals. Rarely do you see a bold colour or pattern. Yet he has often stated that he finds perfection inhumane and frightening, preferring a symmetry that draws attention to movement. A disequilibrium in the clothing's chemistry but still appears organised. This signature duality of minimalism and complexities is quite befitting to inspire ideas for Kanso Naiad, as his works excel in the art of layering, unfurling over the body like water. Secondly, we have Aura Lee. Their designs are light and serene, often embodying modernity, simplicity, and the appreciation for fine lines. These type of adjectives also build some of the essence of Kanso Naiad, a calm elegance aligning with comfort. Thirdly, we have the designer Donna Karen, which we are highlighting shows from 2007 to 2014, mainly consisting of airy dresses, wrinkled garments, ethereal romance, earthy tones, and silky fabrics being a trademark. Also, the collection in the spring-summer of 2000 by designer Richard Tyler has some looks that are certainly imbued with the grace of a Naiad but in a more achievable way. Additionally, Fumika Hayashi, designer of the brand Fumiku, stated in a questionnaire in 2018 that the brand's concept was a mysterious lady-like fog. Being inspired by weather is an interesting imagery to ponder on for the conception of an outfit, as fog has that very fine, smoky quality to it, subtlety being a key element for this fashion fusion. Lastly, the brand Fetico has its roots in a more classic approach, timeless fashion paying tribute to the figures of women, a sensuality and sophistication that further ties the ribbon on Kanso Naiad. By adding the Naiad element to Japanese Kanso, it offers a mythical touch to the clean and simple lines of Kanso, which is often more modern in design, though has ancient elements too. To further illustrate this, we have made some mood boards. The strongest pillar of inspiration to support the style's foundation would be in the absence of clutter on the body. The overall silhouette of the outfit should emphasize restraint and understated elegance. Some flowing fabrics mimicking water and subtle magical details seen in accessories can represent the Naiad portion, so as not to distract from the core simplicity. Just some examples of items and characteristics to look for would be sheer tops with floral embroidery, lots of fluidity in drapery, fabrics with ripple texture or tendrils of fabric at the hem of long pants, pencil skirts, low heels, shawls, finer patterns that are not bold, open blouses, an ombre effect in items giving the impression of the bottom half being soaked in water, or smaller sized bags with a single large stone or flower adornment. If you have watched our previous installments of our fashion fusions, you will know that we usually reserve Chapter 3 for cinema. There are certainly many minor moments within film that encapsulate this Kanso Naiad fusion, yet we thought we would do something different today by looking at prose or poetry. There is not much difference between how one would view a film to gather inspiration versus words. Much like how a film is comprised of unfolding connecting scenes, a poem or fragment is essentially a small scene. Within it is ambience, motifs, emotions, and colours. We have gathered the following fragments to help envision the type of outfits one would wear. Naturally, when one types something like mythical jewellery into a search, you will be met with more elaborate and stylised designs, which in our opinion would be far too much of a clashing opposite to blend alongside Kanso style. However, finding jewellery that retains a sense of adorning one's body in otherworldly decorations whilst still maintaining the vibe of less is more approach can be found in choosing pendant pieces, single chains holding a unique talisman, as if it was found at the bottom of a murky lake. Additionally, you could find hair clips in the shape of branches with small crystals, scattering them in the hair like a natural diadem. Or you can look to incorporate freshwater pearls as well to pay tribute to the home of the Naiads. As mentioned in our introduction, Kanso is a philosophy and design principle. The application of said philosophy is so wide that it finds itself not only in fashion but in interiors, art, culinary arts, cosmetics and even tea ceremonies, which was introduced to Japan by tea ceremony master Murata Juko. He believed that simplicity and minimalism were essential to creating a tranquil ceremony. Diving more deeply into the characteristics of Japanese Kanso from an architectural/interior standpoint in particular can provide more ways in making an outfit. Spaces have an open floor plan in order to create a home that is calming, spotlighting the simplicity of daily objects and a lack of excessive ornamentation. The design is in tune with nature and natural light, with large windows or shoji screens made from translucent paper. Appreciating organic decorative shapes and symbols is another major focal point. These core foundations can be woven into an outfit by focusing on mirroring the outside world, as a Kanso home embraces sustainable materials mixed with natural fibres, often hearing the sounds of water from internal rock gardens with small ponds. The Kanso principle also translates into more specific objects. For example, one vase with only a few stems ranged according to the traditional art of flower arrangement called Ikebana. This can be replicated by placing 2 flowers in your hair like hair sticks, or a brooch of similar nature for an accessory. Lastly, before you is a mix of paintings and drawings encompassing Kanso Naiad. Observing the complementary colours used in art yields abundant inspiration, sticking to earth hues like wooden browns, greys from stone tiles, cooler murky colours from lakes, the greens seen in plants, and neutrals. Kodo, also known as the way of the fragrance, is the art of appreciating Japanese incense, which was introduced in Japan in the 6th century when Buddhism flourished. Aromatic aloes wood or eiga wood mixed with herbs was burnt in temple rituals and used by samurai to purify themselves before battle. The ancient practice invites those in attendance to engage all their senses, to not merely smell the fragrance but to listen to it. It is noted that engaging in kodo is much like a sensory odyssey. Each step is a ritualistic ceremony. One could say it's much like building an outfit. Through the notion of everything having a purpose in Kanso, the finishing gesture of a scent waltzes with the clothing to further centre the vision, perfuming the body with the scents from nature like a naiad never being far from water. Thus, to end this fashion fusion, we have gathered a selection of perfumes that are compatible for Kanso Naiad.